They say the land of Berilith was swallowed by fire, not because of war, but because of one man's rage. His name was Ilya Drakov, a decorated war general from the old empire of Vosgrad. Known for his discipline, feared for his unshaking cruelty, Ilya commanded armies like gods, cast lightning absolute without question. Yet long before he earned medals and scars, he was a quiet boy born in the village of Dolsk Hollow, a forgotten place tucked into the Ashwood Forest. His mother was mute, and his father was a drunk with fists like iron. Ilya remembered the beatings more than the seasons. In the stillness of Dolsk, rage was the only sound that spoke. At age 16, he ran. He joined the Imperial Army, buried his name, and rose through the ranks until even kings bowed their heads when he entered. But no matter how far he rode, the weight of Dolsk clung to his spine. That village, cursed, foul, rotten at the roots, had never left him. Years passed, empires fell. Ilya became an old man. One winter, he received a letter sealed in black wax. Dolsk Hollow is dying. They summoned you. There is wrath in the soil. There was no signature, just an old sigil, the mark of the village temple, a serpent swallowing its tail. Ilya returned not with an army, but with silence. Dolsk Hollow hadn't changed. The trees still leaned in unnatural angles. The houses were warped, almost sagging, as if the land itself was tired of them. Children watched him with hollow eyes. The elderly muttered prayers through missing teeth. And in the village square, a pyre burned endlessly with no fuel and no smoke. At the temple, he met the Elder of Thorns, a thin man with amber eyes and fingers like sticks. "You shouldn't have come," the elder whispered. "You summoned me." "No, General. We called the curse. You are merely its echo." The words meant little, but the fear in the elder's face that meant everything. "I'm not here to listen to riddles. Tell me why I was called." The elder led him inside. The stone walls were covered in symbols, wrathful gods, open jaws, blazing suns crossed out with lines of blood. "You were one of 12, the elder said. 12 boys born during the eclipse. The villagers believed the 13th child would bring ruin, so they killed the next infant born. A girl, she was drowned in the well." Ilya's chest tightened. He remembered the screams he had forgotten until now. "They lied to us. There was a 13th child, not a girl, a boy, one they hid deep in the woods. He was different. He absorbed rage like others breathe air. And," the elder's voice cracked, "he's returned, but not as a man, as something else. He has no face, no voice, only wrath. He's killing the children. Their eyes turn black, their hearts stop beating." Ilya scoffed. "And what do you expect me to do?" "You must kill the wrath you abandoned, before it kills us all." That night, the wind cried like a mother in mourning. Ilya stayed in the old house where he was born. Dust and bones littered the floor. The hearth was cold. He saw a boy outside the window, pale, still, watching. When he opened the door, the boy was gone, only muddy footprints remained, leading into the woods. He followed. The forest whispered as he walked. Branches reached like claws. The air thickened, heavy with a stench he couldn't place. He came to the old well, the one where the girl had been drowned. It was bricked up, sealed in iron bands. A voice spoke behind him. "You left me in the dark." Ilya turned. A figure stood there, naked, covered in ash and scars. Face blurred, flickering like a flame in the wind. "Who are you?" The figure tilted its head. "I am the wrath you left behind." Suddenly, pain shot through Ilya's chest. He fell to his knees, gasping. The face shifted. It became his own. He awoke in the temple, coughing blood. The elder stood over him, eyes wild. "You saw him, didn't you?" "I saw myself," Ilya hissed. The elder nodded solemnly. "That is the curse. He wears your face because he was made from your fury. He's a ghost? No, worse. He is the spirit of wrath incarnate, born from blood, fed by abandonment, sustained by hatred. I don't believe in spirits, Ilya said. Then believe in vengeance, because that's what he is. The next night, 3 villagers were found dead, their faces twisted in rage, as if they had screamed until their souls shattered. No blood, no wounds, just absence. Ilya realized the wrath was feeding not on flesh, but on anger. The more fury it absorbed, the stronger it became. He tried to warn them, but Dolsk was built on hate. Old feuds, bitter memories, ancient grudges. It was a feast. He went back to the well. This time he opened it. Inside there were bones, not just of the girl, but dozens. Children, animals, even adults. Sacrifices. The village had been doing this for generations. We fed it, the elder confessed. We thought if we gave it our wrath, it would spare us. But wrath can't be bargained with, Ilya said. The elder smiled grimly. Exactly. That night, the sky turned black. The children began chanting. One word, 13. The faceless figure walked through the village. Fire followed. Homes turned to ash. The earth cracked. Ilya stood in the square alone. I'm not afraid of you, he whispered. The figure stopped. But you are made of me. Then the figure stepped into him. Ilya saw everything. He was back in his childhood, watching his father beat his mother. He was a soldier again, slaughtering innocents. He was in the woods, laughing as the villagers drowned the girl. He was rage, and he realized the wrath wasn't a spirit. It was him, fragmented, forgotten, fermented. The village hadn't summoned a demon. They had nurtured a memory, a collective wound. He had been split body and rage, and now it was returning. The only way to stop it was to become whole again. He whispered, I accept you. The wrath screamed, the world bent, and then silence. When Ilya awoke, the village was gone. Not destroyed, erased. No ash, no bodies, just forest. He stood alone. A raven landed beside him and said, You chose peace, so wrath chose silence. He wandered for days, or years. Time no longer mattered. Eventually, he reached a city, but no one knew his name. Because wrath has no name, only fire and memory, or years. Time no longer mattered. Eventually, he reached a city, but no one knew his name. Because wrath has no name, only fire and memory,